Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Social Confoes. And Shanluk, I gotta say, welcome back to Suriname. How
Yeah,
have
I
you
mean
been?
the last two episodes were really, one was like in the middle of a conference, the second one was in the airport in Panama. It was tricky, but we pulled through. We pulled through, and we finally get to do a full episode again, and actually have a guest today. So I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, it's been a while that we had a full blown episode. We had a guest. Finally managed to do some schedule. So, Shanluk, tell us, who are we talking with today?
Okay, so this is how I remember it, and he can correct me later when he jumps in if I'm wrong. Um, it was in 2014 at the Social Media Marketing World, and there was this networking bingo.
That's the
And
conference you were at
yeah, that's the conference
two
that
weeks
I'm
ago, right?
actually
Oh,
now where I was 2 weeks ago. And there actually was a networking bingo on the USS Midway, which is an old ship. And I was searching for somebody who owned an Atari, and I couldn't find anybody who owned an Atari, but I saw somebody with a bow tie, and I was like, "Hey, maybe this seems like a cultural dude. So let's ask him. Um, do you own an Atari?" And unfortunately, he said no, but we did connect afterwards, and that was actually the former business partner of our guest today, Nick. And through Nick, I kind of met everybody in the group, which has a name which we shall not call, but one of those members was DRock. And I remember at the time, this is really funny, and he can tell the full story. They were calling out all those names of speakers. They were like, "Hey, we went to this session and that session," and I had no idea who these speakers were. And then even at some point, he was saying like, Nick was saying to me, "Yeah, and David's gonna make a video for Gary Vaynerchuk." I had no idea who Gary Vaynerchuk was. So without further ado, we like to introduce the very talented, often more behind the camera, but finally in front of the camera, especially for everybody watching today and listening to this episode, the one and only DRock.
DRock, welcome to the show.
I think you're mute, still on mute. Yeah,
Classic.
yeah.
Thank you for having me. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Well,
I'm good.
we're
So
great.
what do you remember from 2014?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was a different time in general. Like, I wasn't DRock, I was David. I was working with Nick Parks, who was my partner in crime on a podcast called the Launching Creative Podcast. We interviewed a ton of different people, like 30, 40 entrepreneurs and creatives, and our mission was to educate the youth or the up and coming creatives on like how to be more professional, being a creative. Like, there weren't a lot of resources out there like how to invoice, how to prepare for your taxes, how to like there weren't a lot of things like that. So we started a blog and we started a podcast, and again we interviewed a bunch of different people. And I remember one night, it was like a February, it was cold. Nick was like, "Hey, let's go to this conference. This guy Gary is talking at it." I'm like, "Who's that?" We go to the conference, and it's Gary Vaynerchuk. He walks out on stage. You know, a lot of the people that we were interviewing before, awesome people, incredible people, but when Gary walked out, he had sneakers, jeans, a hoodie, a baseball cap. He just got off of a flight from like London. I was like, wow, this guy is like cool. Like, I felt the coolness in him. And I was like, so that night I went back, watched every video I possibly could about him. He didn't have a ton. I didn't know about the wine side of him, but he had a few keynotes online and a few like selfie videos or videos that either Nate or Andy K, who still are with Gary, filmed back in the day. So that's kind of like, so then I just started watching all these videos, and yeah, I eventually got the opportunity.
So this wasn't the conference you met Shanluk at, right? This was
This was
a
not the
different
conference.
conference.
No. This was just the first one. And then, yeah, when we got down to social media marketing world, this is like my big first conference. Like I had never been like in the marketing like advertising world. I had never thought about social media other than like what we did for our blog. And so yeah, I don't remember the bow tie knit parts. Like I don't remember the Atari thing. I just remember you being one of us immediately. I remember like we all just started hanging out together. What was there like four, five of us?
Yeah, it was a group, and I
It was a good
actually,
group. It was a solid.
yeah, I actually jumped in later during the event. Like in the first couple of days, I was completely, I was lost. There were so many sessions. There were so many speakers.
And
It
it's
was it
so
was
big.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and back then it was still in the Hyatt. Now it's in the convention center, so
Oh
it's
really?
even bigger now. Yeah,
I
but
haven't
it
I haven't
was
been back. I haven't been back since that year. I haven't been back.
seriously okay. But I also remember that you were in video and editing music videos as well, right?
Yeah, so
Because
like,
that's,
you
yeah.
know, the blog and the podcast that Nick and I were doing were not bringing any money. I mean, just like for us to build up brand, we were learning how to do social media, learning how to podcast, learning how to build something. And then I was a freelancer at the time, so I was filming and editing, music videos often for free, Kickstarter videos, wedding videos, restaurant videos, um, corporate videos, like I was kind of just trying to figure it out what I was good at, and yeah, that's kind of where I was at the
Uh,
time.
You said the podcast and the blog weren't bringing in money. If you had to break it down, what was the mainstream of income back then? Was it more like the weddings, corporate stuff?
Yeah, it was all the corporate wedding videos and corporate videos. I remember like the restaurant videos were paying me $20, and I got a meal. Like that was like it was like that was the deal. I did like
Wow.
so many of those because I did not have money, was living on my own, did not have food, and I said, you know what? 2 hours me film, me edit is worth a nice proper meal. And then I would save that meal for 2 meals. And I would just like split it and portion it out. That way I had something for the day after.
And this was all in New York, right? You're based in New York.
Yeah, this was all New York. Yeah.
So for people listening, I'm curious to know what's so special about New York and like
Mm.
how like all the big stuff happens in New York. If you look at the mainstream media, is that just media or
Yeah,
what's
I
so
think I
special
think I
about
think that's
New York for you?
I think it's media and brand, Like New York is known as the epicenter of the world almost, like financial, fashion, all these things. And I think that's the long-term effects of brand. Um, and other than that, I just love the energy and the grit and the people that are here. That's kind of my thing. I like that we're all trying to figure it out and hustle and like everyone here, if you're walking outside, is figuring out how to make it, and I think that's super interesting.
So from a perspective from somebody outside of the US, when do you prefer a career in LA, and when do you prefer a career in New York?
So I'm a big fan of both. I've always wanted I always wanted bi-coastal, but now I'm leaning even more towards three, which is LA, New York, and Miami. Because I love like Latin culture. I crave it. And I like the heat. I have family down there. And a lot of my really good friends are moving down to Miami right now. So just good networking, good vibes, good energy.
Okay. Miami is quite close to Suriname. We have some friends jumping in. You're
Love
getting
it.
a virtual hug from Stockholm, and
What's up?
Miguel also jumped in. He
What's up,
says
Miguel?
my role model. So you should know that you have some fans in Suriname, like a
I
lot
do
of.
it, and I appreciate them. I think the one thing I'm always leery of or cautious of, and why I haven't done a lot of podcasts until this year, is that my whole thing was, we're hiring kids all the time, people that come in and out of our doors. A lot of times when people come and work for us, they try to build their brand, and I think that's what their purpose is. They come in to build their personal brand, and to me, it's like I came into work. I came in to fucking work my dick off, make the best videos, build up Gary's brand. That's the thing I love to do. But, over time, I was sitting, I'm filming and editing Gary, right? And he's just like, put content, put out content, put out content. So at some point, I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put out stuff. Even some of my like teammates, like Andy and Tyler and Snunman, were like, "What are you doing? Like, why do you like? Don't not trying to be like Gary." And then over time, it just started to build and accumulate. I did all the right things. I engaged with my community. I'm trying to provide value. I try to be honest. And yeah, I know there's a few people that follow me, and I appreciate every single one of them. But I really do think in this world right now, everyone's so focused on me, my brand, my thing. What I think a lot of youngsters should focus on is go work for somebody who's doing it, learn, do the stuff on the side, like when you're walking to the bathroom or jumping into the subway, like I did. Don't let it take away from your work, but come in and like put in your true effort, and then on the side work on your brand and stuff. I think that's the right formula. Too many people come in. I would see it blatantly. They were editing their own videos. I was like, you're at work right now. What are you doing? And I think I've always been extra cautious, overprotective of Gary. Just because I'm not here to get the limelight. I'm here to help build an awesome brand. You know.
Help build an awesome brand, and he's built an amazing brand, just to say. But just to come back to getting that first job with Gary, I read the blog post you wrote a few years ago on how you got the job, and there's a nice quote you put here: hard work and intent play a huge role in serendipity, and sometimes you just got to work for free. And with all this new uh, the way work has been shifting, and you know that there's this constant debate on creatives working for free and saying, hey, we
Of
got to
course.
get paid.
Of course.
So
Listen.
would you
Yeah, listen, I'm
yeah
writing a book. I'm actually writing a book on this. It's called How to Get Your Dream Job, and the premise is work for free. What people don't realize when you work for free is that you're in full control of what you're giving the other person. Like, people think all of a sudden, hey, I want to work for free, and then they take a job that people are bossing them around in like weird ways, and it's like, guys, it's just like any relationship. You got to set boundaries, right? Hey, how do you put food on the table? Well, you got to work another job. So, hey, I got to work 4 days a week, 5 days a week on this. I have 7 p.m. to midnight to work on your work, or I have the other 2 days to work on your work. But then people are like, yeah, but like, what about my weekend and work-life balance? Well, you have to decide what you want. And my thing about working for free, because I've done it so much in the past, not just for Gary, is that it just gives you more at-bats, more opportunities, more ways to like prove yourself. For me, working for free is always how can I make this product better for me? Because ultimately that will be the best product in the end for the client. And so, yeah. But then let's go back to working, how I got my job. Yeah, I offered my services for free quite a few times via email. Um, didn't happen. Didn't no contact. And I remember the story a few years ago, and it really warms my heart because I was like, what? How did I like? What moment was it? And I'm ghetto. I'll like carry my lighting, my tripod, my camera, my mics and everything on me, and I walk through the subways. I look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, with like all
Just
this.
with gear all over.
Yep, and it was pouring rain one day. Pouring rain. It was absolutely drenched. And I'm going to this job. I go do the job. It's my highest paying job that I've ever had as a freelancer. I made like $800 that day. And I was like, wow, this is nice. And I was like, fuck it. I'm not going back in that subway. I'm going to take a taxi cab. Back in the day in New York in 2014, subways didn't really have cell phone service. So I wouldn't have been able to look at my messages as much. Now you can kind of get away with it, just like splotchy, but you can get away with like getting service in the subway. Because I got in that cab, I happened to be on Twitter, when Gary tweeted, "Hey, I'm trying out this app called Kik, and it was like a chatting app back in the day, and he's like, come download it and make a username and come talk to me." It's almost like if Gary's saying, "Hey, come try out Snapchat, or come try out TikTok, or try Musical.ly or Meerkat." Like, it's just like one of those tweets. I tweeted out, like, I downloaded it right away because I had service, made a username within minutes, sent him a 1 minute video I had made of this boxer guy motivational video. And I was like, "Hey, I can do this for you for free." And he said, "What?" Immediately, he connected me immediately with Dunwin, who was on his team at the time. And that's how I got the opportunity to follow Gary around for a day.
So basically, you reached out to him on a totally new platform where no one was
I
on
had
yet,
never used
crowded.
it before. It was just like chatting app. Now I think a lot of teenage users use it for sexting and stuff. But Gary and I hooked up on Kick, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'll keep that. Keep
Yeah,
that.
I made a Kick account once. I don't remember my password. I probably won't be able to get back in.
No,
Yeah,
probably.
but it's typical. It sounds very typical of him, and yeah, it's the opportunity. And I think,
And again, it's
yeah,
back to the hard work and intent play a
yeah,
role in serendipity. My intent was good. I wanted to fucking do a good video for him. I didn't need anything from him. I was just going to use the video to market myself to get more clients. I was like, oh, if I can get Gary, I can get 5 other entrepreneurs. It worked, by the way. I made the video. I got like Ted Rubin, a bunch of Chris Brogan, a bunch of other people that were at Social Media Marketing World. I actually
yeah.
hit them up one on one, be like, "Yo, I just made this for Gary. I got the job." So hard work and intent played a whole role in that like moment there, because again, I could have taken the subway, but because I had hustled so hard, taking on so many free clients, and I got the most paying job that I'd ever gotten, I was able to take a taxi, which was a luxury at the time for me, and I got the role.
Is there any other project aside from projects you did for Gare that you think, oh, this is like one of my proudest moments ever, and that's kind of underappreciated, like we are being flooded by all the
Not
stuff you've done now?
underappreciated. Listen, I don't have any audacity in terms of underappreciation. I've come to, there's, again, back to doing free work. I worked on so many client videos, so many Kickstarter videos, so many wedding videos, corporate videos. It was draining my soul. I was like, I need to make like something like motivational. And I always wanted to make films like The Pursuit of Happiness or 7 Pounds or Jason Bourne, obviously. But I love those films. But so I wanted to make something like action, adventurous, motivational. So my buddy Stefan, college buddy of mine, would come in every weekend and we would shoot stuff for fun. And we would just make random things. The first project we made was a 1 minute video called Drive. And it was him playing basketball with like motivational music and a motivational quote. And that video, for free, worked on it, my passion project. That's what I got most of my paid work from. It was that one video because I kept sending that around, not my corporate bullshit stuff or the Kickstarter videos. I sent the stuff that I did that I loved and I cared about. And again, the second installment of that was the short film called Courage, and that's the video I sent Gary.
Okay. But quickly about the at bat, because you mentioned the at bat, like you need to have more at bats, and a lot of times people have like the aspiration to do it, but then when they actually have to make the videos and put in the effort, can you explain like a little bit how much it helps when you've done 100 videos to make that the next one, and how much easier it goes
Yeah,
when you had those at bats?
this is a cliche. This is, LeBron James shooting free throws. This is, the same thing as any talented person, how to put in reps. Just like when you're going to the gym to work out and get the muscles, you have to do the work. And so the 100 videos, yes, the because I did so many reps, I was ready for the moment at the time when it
But
came.
what skill is like, what's is there are there certain skills that you were like, wait a minute, these are really kind of skills like people don't think about, that only when you've really done a lot of editing you realize how important that skill is.
Yeah, I think I got lucky. I was homeschooled, and so my mom was very much into like you need like she was a creative herself a little bit, and she was like pushing my creative energy a lot, and she like, okay, we're gonna draw, you're gonna write, you're gonna do music, you're gonna act a little bit. So I dabbled in so many things when I was a kid, um, that kind of like was the base for me when I played the violin, the piano, the guitar, and the penny whistle. I that was a random one. The penny whistle.
Very, very, very random.
I think those me understanding and learning music actually really helped my editing. Like if you pay attention to like my edits, a lot of my edits are based upon the music. So for me, I think that's an underrated skill that I think I bring to the table. But
I
again,
al-
yeah.
okay, quickly. I want to know how much time, especially with the daily fees, how much time goes into finding the right sound or the right music.
So hard, so hard. I mean, listen, if I was not filming or editing DailyVee, I was DMing and going on SoundCloud trying to find any independent artist I could. Um, and that's kind of how that was. And it was just I spent hours doing it. Would ask a lot of people, "Hey, I know you don't know who Gary is. He's an entrepreneur guy. Can we use some of your hip hop music, please?" Did that a fuck ton. Uh, and now, like it's so funny. The whole thing is flipped. I'm getting messages every day. Here's music. Here's music. Here's music. Um, yeah, a lot of time on music. I bang my head off. I cannot. So how my editing of DailyVee happens is capture 12 hours, 17 hours, 18 hours, 19 hours, whatever length of time, and then chop until it's like down to like a good solid 45 minutes. If that's like where I'm trying to get the blog like under 30, I would like chop to 40, and then I have to sit there and try to listen to every song and just go no, 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 and just keep doing that over and over again until I found
So
it.
so basically, technically, you can't really edit a daily fee in one day.
I can
Yeah, you
because
can, but
no, I mean you
Is
can.
that capturing the day and editing?
No, but it's very hard. So I've done that too. I've done that. Those were some dark times. I remember I went 2 months, 3 months where I would film and edit the vlog and get it out at the next day. And that was insane. How you do it is you gotta while you're filming, you gotta take notes. What I do is I take pictures on my camera of the timestamp of something I want to hear and I want to remember. So if you go through my phone right now, I have so many pictures of like the timestamp, and then I use Instagram stories to write a note, and like I would drop like a fireball emoji. I would drop like the two eye emoji if Gary looked at me and like that's a moment. Like that's kind of like our system now, and so that helps me like track what was important, what was memorable, and then. But to your point, it's very hard. You know, a lot of credit goes to my buddy and fellow editor Tyler Babin. I would film and hand him a memory card, and he would edit the whole thing the next day and get it out. And that's hard because he had no context. And he
Yeah,
would just have
I
to
can
watch
imagine.
through and edit, and like he was a beat. Like by the time he was done with an edit, I was handing him memory cards for that stuff. Like we were just like da 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 da. He's now gone off to go work for Hassan Minaj, incredibly talented dude. Love it. I always admire that kid. He's such a beast.
No, I can only imagine how how dark those times must have been, cranking out those daily V's. And speaking of the daily V's, I can notice that
I'm sorry. There was one moment during quarantine. We lived like 4 blocks away from each other, and then like that time where like people started coming out. I was free. I was working on a huge project at Vayner, and I finally got out of that project. It was mid June. I texted back and I'm like, "Yo, I'm bringing 2 bottles of wine. Let's get shit faced." And so we just talked about all the dark times that we went through, and we
did you guys get
cried. It
empathy
was
wine?
such an emotional moment. And we were like, "Oh my god, we went through so hard." But yeah, it was fun. Sorry, I had to tell that story.
Awesome. But coming back to the daily feeds real quick, you mentioned you were brought up with a lot of creativity, and I've watched a few of those daily feeds, and this I noticed the storytelling in combination with the music, trying to build suspense and just trying to elevate the feeling in the viewer. Um, so, is there a particular like daily V for you that sticks out? Like, hey,
Yeah,
this is the one.
DailyVee 14 was kind of like where I knew that we had something big. You gotta remember, like Gary said no to me vlogging him. He said no. He flat out said I don't want that. Casey Neistat had just come out with all his vlogs. He was doing it every day. I was like, yo, that's cool, that's cool. Gary said no. Gary had me film a bunch of like basketball videos for him. Like we would wait until like 5 a.m. to like go play basketball at the YMCA, and I would film it for him and his buddies. I had done that probably at least 5, 6 times, and one day I was just like, "Fuck it." I showed up to film the basketball thing, and then I went and filmed Gary at his next meeting. And if you go to Daily V1 and you look at it, you're gonna see I'm across the street. Gary's on his phone. He looks up and he's like a little confused. And that's because I just showed up and started filming and making like, and then I edited it and that was Daily V1. So again, he wasn't really like convinced. By the time Daily V1, it was awesome. It was like through the race. It was like, we're doing this. But Daily V14 just brought me so much joy. I don't know, just something about the editing about that really just was my favorite. Stood out to me. I think it's the chef that grew up.
24/7. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
got it up here.
yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. There's that one in Daily V12. There's Daily V12 and Daily V14.
So I do have to ask now, because you just mentioned that the daily fee kind of it gradually evolved, being like you were like, wait, this is gonna work, and Gary being like,
Yeah.
how much credit? And I know you're humble about it, but how much credit should you get for as Gary
I
Fee?
don't. I don't even want to think about that because it truly isn't important. What I will say was really
Right.
fun, a good like social, like a good learning moment for everybody. Yeah, I will not take credit for that. I'll keep saying like, yo, I did that, but I won't ask for credit, or deem that necessary. What I like the most, just like a cool thing, is like before the Daily V's, we were filming Ask Gary V, and we were doing that. We were like in the hundreds at that point. The Ask Gary V book was coming out. If you watch a lot of the early episodes, it was like all about the new book coming out. And then we had never really done. We had done like a few one-off videos, like a Twitter video, a Snapchat video. Um, there's not much else. And then one day on Sunday night, Gary texts me, da 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 da. Bro, I need this. I need you to come. People hate their jobs. Da 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 da. I need you to. I need to film something. Meet me outside my apartment at 7 a.m. So I'm like, okay, we've never done that before. I'm like, excited. Let's go. Let's fucking go. I go out. It's 7 a.m. outside of his apartment in the Upper East Side. I hold my camera, and it's the Monday Fuck You Monday video. At the time, Gary's Facebook page had gone from 0 to 500,000 in the span of 10 years. Like he had been working on it. He had been doing his thing, jamming on it. I got that video live at like 8:45. Like went right away to the office, edited it, put it out. In a week, his page went to 1 million followers. We were like,
Wow.
what?
Wow.
Like completely doubled. That was our first like viral moment. Then what ended up happening was, now fast forward to we're filming Daily V's. We're in this episode where Charlemagne the God and what's his name? Guy who just on his podcast, a comedian, Andrew Schultz was doing in this podcast called the Brilliant Idiots podcast. And I remember this one like moment, and it was like the flash bulb went off again of like, this is the Monday morning video. It was Gary talking about how Prince had to like work as a janitor to get studio time, and that's how he fucking bled his eyes out for his fucking dream. I chopped that video up. We put that video out. The same thing happened. Absolute virality. That's when Gary Andy and I all looked at each other and said, wait a minute. DailyVee is not just for the vlogs. It's to gather the micro sawdust. And that's when we started doubling down on the clips, which
And
is
that's
then
when the
how
content, that's kind of where the content pyramid came from.
that's where the volume, yeah, like
Yeah.
we produce 150 to 200 pieces of content a day across all social platforms. You can't do that without the DailyVee, like
Yeah.
without the
Yeah,
source.
it's just a massive like
Because yeah, you just need more
chunk
time,
of
you need
content.
access, you need Gary to spit one word in the right way. Again, Gary says 14 things. You know, really, like if you really pay attention to him, there's not a lot of things he talks about, but those 14 things we say it over and over and over and over in different ways to try to get into people's head.
Yeah, the
You
message
know,
gets through.
Yeah.
so
It's
that's the power
interesting.
of like the Daily V, the power of Gary, the power of the machine, the power of what we've built over the last few years.
But you also have to have enough interest in the topics
Oh
at
yeah,
hand.
oh yeah,
Because I think where a lot of people struggle who try to replicate what you guys are doing is they want to kind of get the micro content out of it, but they don't have somebody who can go to 2 hours, 3 hours of footage and be like, hey, nugget one is around the 30-minute mark.
sure,
Nugget
sure,
two is
sure. I mean, listen, I was lucky. I watched Wilson. The reason why I'm here, and it's funny timing now because of what just happened at the
Yeah, and
Grammys.
the Oscars
The
or
reason, oh, the
Grammys.
Oscars, sorry. The reason why I'm here is because when I was a kid, there was YouTube came out, this whole platform, and some kid edited this 9-minute video of Will Smith talking about his secrets of success. I watched that video so many fucking times that like it became what I believed, and like him talking about you gotta lay the brick as perfectly as you gotta lay that brick. Him talking about when he got on the treadmill, he was either gonna die or you were gonna get off. But he was gonna die on that treadmill, and he was gonna beat you, like outwin, compete. And so I already had like these motivational things. I always knew what I liked. Even at the gym, I would like listen to like motivational mashups. So I think for me, that was just part of my homework. And so like, yeah, I agree that it's hard to find, but I think what people struggle with in terms of like people trying to do what we're doing is they want what Gary has right now. And what everyone keeps forgetting is
Yeah,
Gary
the path to it.
before me. And this is why I'll never take credit or really Gary anything. Before me,
he had
Gary
already a
did
dozen
5
videos.
days a week of wine videos
Yeah.
for 3.5 fucking, that's 1,000 episodes. Now I always tell people, hey, you know, we're 8 years in now, me and Gary. Gary did 3 years of 1,000 episodes. Before you even think about having what we have, you got to do you got to put in 1,000 episodes. Once you're at 1,000 episodes, then I'll be ready to be like, okay, now here's how you should like think about your personal brand. Because it's not possible without all those reps. Again, back to the reps. You just have to have them. you
I
know?
think that's a nice transition to the personal brands that you mentioned. And you said you're not going to take credit, but focusing on the personal brand that you're kind of building as DRock and Made By, could you talk to us about what Made By is and where that idea came from and the
Yeah.
message you're trying to spread through it?
Yeah, I've always like wanted to make stuff. Like I just want to make anything kind of thing. I've always like right now because I knew videography and that's what I did 2 years at a community college for radio, TV, broadcasting. So I knew it. That's what I did, and then I ended up being somewhat okay at it. That I've now built a career. I've always wanted to put out a novel, write a book about my experiences. Come up with an awesome motion picture film, cartoons. Throughout the years, because I was working on motivational stuff, I started slapping like motivational quotes on hoodies, and I was like selling them. I made a couple hundred of each one, or just keep selling them. Shout out to my guy Syed from Wildhood. He helped me so much. He let me like talk about a guy who let me do stuff for free. He didn't charge me at all to produce the hoodies. I didn't take any of the profit, but he gave me the tools necessary to put stuff out there into the world. Big love to him. I love that dude. Fucking crushing it. He's up in Canada somewhere. But then like over time, I started really becoming into like fashion and like understanding like what this brand does. Actually, I really respect the fuck out of Ronnie Feig and Kith. There's a lot of cool brands coming out right now that I really respect. And so yeah, made by to me is just gonna be a container to put the stuff that I want to make into. So I had thought of so many different brand names that I went through, and eventually one day I was like walking through New York City trying to figure it out. And I had seen something like made in China or something made in or made. I was like, what if I just go made by? And then that's kind of like where, that came from. And so I'm looking forward to it. Listen, this is not going to be something that comes out in the next year and I'm like successful. Like, this is going to be a 10, 12-year thing that hopefully by like when I'm 41, 42, I'm like looking at a really cool brand that I built. New York culture, fashion, global, NFTs, clothing, everything. I want to do like made by Prada, made by BMW, made by whatever, right? I think that's the beauty of the name, and
Yeah, it
I'm
was a nice
excited about that.
open-ended.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like it could be literally made by, rest in peace. My biggest dream was Virgil Abloh. Like made by Virgil Abloh would have been the creme de la creme of like what I wanted. Um, so yeah, I'm excited about it. Fun passion
Okay,
project.
because you mentioned the word NFT, but we're not gonna jump on that one yet.
We
But
can. I'm
no,
open.
no,
I'm in.
before we do that, just one of the questions from one of our viewers, Stefan. Respect for constantly creating content on various outlets. How do you deal with creative burnouts? Or let me rephrase it: have you ever had a burnout? And
Every day.
how?
I mean, all the time. Not every day.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
the time. I listen. Back to like just going back to Gary's world and everything because that's who I'm born and bred that now. Gary is so a businessman. He so wants things fast. He wants things more. He wants as much as possible. And I'm creative, right? I want as nicely lit as possible, good audio. Please let me get some cool B-roll. And so in those like two contradictions in a way, we kind of like pulled apart, and it was like the osmo, like the super energy thing where they pull and it has this like center. That's where I think Gary's brand kind of like really started to like become something different. Because again, he wasn't just a talking head. It wasn't just Ask Gary V or a keynote. Now there were like short films, daily vlogs that had like some cinematic qualities. So yeah, Gary's speed and need for content broke my creative blocks down a lot because at some point I just had no other option. I just had to fucking get it out. And I think what Gary taught me is you have so many Atbats. Like even like when we got into like adding in new videographers, I would be like, I really don't want to give this up. He's like, bro, you can film tomorrow, you know? And so like that taught me to like learn how to like start getting over that. That's like macro though. A real practical tool that I've learned is, as creatives, we all have those moments where we're on fucking fire. We're like, yo,
mm,
I can make 10 videos today. I can
yeah.
put out 12 tweets and I have all the things in the world to say. And then there's the other day where you're like, I can't even get one video out. What the fuck? I don't deserve this. What am I doing? And I think that I've learned to balance those two. Like when I'm feeling it, just allow myself to fall in. Do as much as fucking possible. Crank on as much as I can. Then on the days where I'm not feeling it, do the bullshit email stuff. Do the fucking calendar. Do the other meaningless tasks that you have to do. Do the health insurance. Submit your taxes. Like do that stuff. And then also like on days where okay, that's nice, but it's a job you have to deliver content. I would just like what I ended up doing was because I ran out of ideas, go look at a bunch of other people's stuff, screenshot, save, copy, and try to replicate it, but in our own way. And I think that helped me get over the creative block because I didn't really have to create. I just had to more copy and manipulate and change up. So that's a real practical way to kind of get over creative block.
Yeah, I feel like the constraints kind of help you push you to your limits, and
Yeah,
you got so many hours to dish out. Done is better than perfect. I often hear,
100%.
and
And that's because, like, again, Gary's like, hey, we need to put out 4 Instagram videos today. And it's like, cool, all right, we'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, there's just like, we got to figure it out. There's no, like, if he's like, why is it taking so long? Well, we need to make it look better. No, you don't. Just get it out. And then it just became the thing, you know?
yeah, you get those 10,000 iterations of
Yeah.
semi-perfect stuff. But yeah, that was a bit about made by, and kind of makes sense, building that brand slowly for
Yeah,
yourself as well, and making it easy to collaborate. It just speaks for itself.
I can't fucking, like, I'm like, half, like, trying to biz dev all the time in DMs and stuff. I'm so excited. So if there's any brands that want to collaborate, let me know.
So quickly before we go to the NFT part,
Yes.
how did you get over? You've done this like eight plus years now with Gary and pre-Gary,
Seven
other
and a half.
stuff.
Yeah, 7.5, and then 4 or 5
Getting
years.
into people's DMs and building that relationship and actually coming to that collaboration.
Yeah.
How do you get over that hurdle of
Oh my
reaching
god,
out?
it's the easiest thing ever. It's free. Listen, I wish I had I wish I had Instagram at the time when I was like trying to be like a videographer and stuff. I I was on Craigslist every single day making ads, 5 ads a day. Like, hey, that's what you're allowed. You're allowed 5 ads a day, and then I had a little hack where you could also renew 3 old ones. So it'd be like 5 active listings, and you can renew 3 other ones. I was writing titles all the time. Hey, if you need a Kickstarter video, hey, wedding videographer and editor or hire, corporate video editor here, we'll work as remote editor this. Hey, offering a free video if you can do this. Like, I was coming up with titles and images and stuff all the time to market myself. Instagram DMs is the best, and I had to wait for people to get to me. And I'd be like, fuck, like, what am I doing? Instagram DMs and Twitter DMs and TikTok and LinkedIn are blessings for people that want to, like, really hustle and get it out there. Like,
Yeah, and for people,
again, it's free advertising. The worst that can happen is they don't read it. The second worst thing that can happen is they read it and then they leave you on unread. And then the third worst thing that can happen is you get the opportunity, right? And you get in that bat and you fail. Those are all the bad things. All the good things is massive upside. There's not
yeah.
even, like, in my head, a negative thing to sliding into a DM.
And if it's on a
Unless
crowded platform, you
unless
go to
you're a
kick.
goddamn creep. And if you're a goddamn creep, or what a lot of people don't do too is actually try to listen first to the person that they are reaching out to and see what they need. If I don't need something, you offering it 10,000 times in DMs is a lack of class, not strategic, and also does a bad thing for you too. You're just being a goddamn annoying, you know? A lot of people gotta balance all that stuff.
Yeah, because that was the next question, of course, because now the rules have kind of changed around, and now you're the one getting like hundreds to even thousand DMs a week. How have you found a system for that?
No, that's why, let's go back to that original quote. Hard work and serendipity. Play. There's a kid in my DM I know right now is probably the next biggest videographer ever, and I just can't. I didn't see his message. He's messaged me probably 100 times. I just haven't seen it, or not in the moment, in the mood to, like, respond in that, like, to him right now. You know,
So what's
I
your kick platform?
what?
What's your kick platform that you're
No,
using?
I think mine is, if anyone sent me a video right now and took all the best clips of Gary and made an awesome short film and it turned out great and I love it and I fuck with it, I'll hire you or any other thing that we're open for business. What a lot of people don't do is they don't take that first step. So I'm waiting for that.
Okay, cool. So make that video, share it wherever DRock's online, Instagram, Twitter,
Yep.
and some obfuscated platform that's yet to be found.
Do you know how many? Yeah. Do you know how many people I've told that to? So many people. And you know how many people email me?
0. Wow.
You know, hey, you're back. You know.
So
Yeah.
email would be the most straightforward way.
But
Yeah, I
also,
mean,
but again, a lot of people just don't even do the opportunity. They don't even take that. I just said, hey, I will hire you if you take all the best clips of Gary, edit it down. If Gary like, hey, thank you, great time, you gotta go, I would be like, and it's funny also because in the back of my head it was Kanye West or Jeff Bezos, that I would literally download as much footage as I possibly could of them, around them, and edit a dope little mini doc off of what I could. And just be like, how do I get this in front of him? And say, hey, I want to do this for you. And I would do that for free.
but that's also an entrepreneurial mindset, I think.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
So we can
I
jump
mean,
into.
we were at a conference together, John Luke, where we were at a social media marketing and entrepreneurship conference. You know, I before Gary, I always had that mindset. You know,
Yeah.
always.
So shall we unpack that word?
Yeah. I want to know, and maybe this is a creepy question to ask. You just said don't ask creepy questions, but we have to ask.
No,
Are
it's
you?
slide to DMs and be a creep. We're not
Yeah.
DMs.
Are you allowed to disclose? Actually, are people working for VaynerMedia allowed to have fee friends and book games tokens?
Yeah. I mean, listen,
Okay.
it's a free market. You don't get them. Like,
Yeah.
you don't automatically get. I think, to be fully transparent, Gary gave me one and a few of the select people on our team that when we all went to Malibu for 10 days and worked our dicks off every single minute. And it's kind of like his way of like a bonus structure, you know? He was able to like give us a V friend for our hard work, which was super generous, you know? Yeah.
So I wanna
That's why I have like one of what we call a goo. Gary originally
yeah.
owned V friend.
Yeah.
And then I bought the other one.
So did you buy it at Mint? Because
No,
I remember
I bought it at Mint on VFriends.com at the floor price when it landed. No,
because I remember
there's no like inside trading. There's no like, hey, employees get first look or employees can't. It's free for all. The market's the market.
because I remember Gary putting out a video on during the launch and before everything got sold out, and then everything got sold out. He mentioned that a lot of people within the company and on the team didn't get in on it. Did you? What was your view on NFTs like 1 year ago? Did you hear about it?
Well,
Did you see
yeah.
the
So
potential, or was it just, hey, Gary's doing this,
no,
I'm
yeah.
just
So
gonna
like
go into it?
previous to March when we flew to Malibu to film the project, February, Gary called me and like 10 other people like in our circle, and he was like, "Hey, we've been buying sports cards for years now, buying and selling sports cards. I have a whole like Pokemon collection, some LeBron James, some stuff that I've been like purchasing through eBay." And he's like, "Guys, this is gonna be very weird and random, but I need you to buy this item." And we're like, what is it? It's a link, and it's a link to CryptoPunks. And I'm like, guys, this is $30,000, and it looks like a kid drew it on paint. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, guys, sell assets and buy CryptoPunks. And so, I went through the process, went through my collection and sold a bunch of my cards, and then eventually got it converted into ETH, eventually had my wallet, and eventually was able to purchase CryptoPunks. But they went up from the time when Gary told us. So that's when I first heard about NFTs. Then come May, March, we are filming I'm filming the Malibu Gary Dry Beat Friends, and we're looking at him like, bro, like awesome sketches and everything, but like, why don't we use all of your resources and get a 3D animator and everything? And make it cool. And he's like, no, I want it to be myself. And in retrospect, it's the best thing he could have ever done. Him being authentic to himself and having his original art out there is gonna be one of most well-known, he's gonna just be a well-known artist and a brilliant business mind because of that. And so, yeah, I had heard about NFTs or VeeFriends, but then after March, when we were in Malibu, I hopped on a Zoom call at 3 p.m. with Gary on a Tuesday, and it's me, Gary, Nima, who's my co-partner in this Vayner production thing that we're working on, and Tyler, who's from 1:37 p.m., and then another random man pops up on the screen, and it's Mike Beeple. And Beeple pops on, and he's like, "Hey guys, like Tyler's like, yo, this guy's about to have a sale in 2 days. I think we should like maybe make some content around it." So we're like, "Okay, like we'll fly tomorrow." And Gary's like, "No, no, 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 no. You're flying." And it's 3 p.m. I'm living in Jersey at the time. I'm in the Manhattan office. The only flight out of JFK is at 6. Like I have to go. And so like I had whatever gear I had in the office. Gary's like, come up to my apartment on the Upper East Side on your way to the airport. He gave me 2 pairs of underwear, 2 socks, and said, "You're going to South Carolina." We landed in his house the next day. We started filming immediately. The next day after that is the sale. And that's kind of, we made a whole documentary about the people sale and NFT. So I've gotten a lot of knowledge now throughout the months. But yeah, so by the time VeeFriends came out in May, I had already known that like this NFT thing was not going to be a joke, you know?
So what kind of, do you own NBA Top Shots?
What?
Do you own NBA Top Shots?
No, I'm only
No?
CryptoPunks, VeeFriends, and then the motherfuckers.
And
And then
Anchors.
and then a bunch of random other projects that like fans are sending me, or I'm like being a part of, like World of Women. I got Weapons and Women. I got one, which I love. The founder, she's a sweetheart. And then a bunch of other random and hijabi queens. They've been super nice, and a bunch of again other random projects.
I saw your Twitter feed recently that you were collecting book games. Because
Yes,
did you get any book games though?
I have. Yes.
What was it after the fact?
Yeah, I didn't have any at the time. It was the first project. I bought Empathy Wine, Gary Vee sneakers, every book possible, and I just didn't have the liquid at the time to buy the new book because I was over invested in the fucking crypto world and the sports cards, and just didn't buy it, and it was the biggest mistake I made.
And you are flipping Pokemon cards to
Yeah,
get
I'm trying to
those.
sell as much as I can right now for version 2 of VeeFriends that comes out in April.
So one thing I'm curious about, just sidetracking here, is the PSA grading on the Pokemon cards and the recently zero cool drops of the
Yep,
V-Friends.
yep.
How does PSA grading work in collectibles, physical collectibles? If you
Yeah.
could break that down.
I mean, it's pretty simple. These are the two. Wait, hold on. These are 2 of identical same cards. Pokemon. Pikachu red sheets. See all the red sheets there? And one is a 9, and one is a 10. It's all based upon the quality and what they deem at PSA subjectively of what a perfect card is.
See,
Yeah.
Very subjective.
this is where it goes wrong for me. I have like a box here with 1990s NBA playing cards, and like none of them none of them are sealed. Like these are like, and that's why I kind of like NFTs a little bit more, is because if the quality, it's a
Yeah,
little
but the
bit more
problem with
stable.
NFTs were like sports cards didn't have. They went through an era where they did, but the supply and demand. That's what NFTs is. You know, it's hard right now because everyone's launching. Oh, you have 10,000 Mympno monks or whatever they want to call them,
And it's
and
just way too much.
or
Yeah.
the Llama Yacht Club. You know, like it's like, guys, please stop. Like you got to become original and give access. And I think access and utility, like Gary says all the time. Right now, NFTs are art and a little bit of utility. The whole world is going to shift to this in the next few years. And it'll be interesting. You're going to buy like a car using NFTs. You're going to buy homes. You know, there's a company out in Europe that I was talking to that they have NFTs. You can invest for like $100. You own a piece of real estate as an investment property, and if they ever sell or rent or whatever, and that valuation goes up, your NFT goes up, and you're like the whole world is gonna move on NFTs.
I feel like it's time for some overrated, underrated ones.
Yeah, sounds good. So we kind of got the inspiration from the show you
There
guys
was
did
this
over
guy.
on
There
your.
was this guy
Yeah,
on
it's
YouTube,
some
and he
random,
does
yeah,
overrated,
some
underrated. And
YouTuber.
we're like, we're not sure we know him, but yeah, he does this overrated, underrated stuff, and we were like, yeah,
Let's do it. And
that's
I have 2 minutes. Let's do it.
Awesome. Let's fire to this. I'll go quick first. The
I've
three
never
horn
done this
topic.
before, by the way. I'm a little nervous. I'm always the one. Oh, I have the
Yeah.
list. I have the words behind the camera. I've
All
never
right.
done this.
First one for me. The three horn topic.
Underrated. That's the two beat reds I own. I'm subjective, but I will say one random fact about the three horned harpic is the only character that's made up. It's
Yeah. The
invented.
only.
It's not real. It's like there's no there's no harpic in the world. There's horses and apes and astronauts,
okay.
aliens,
The
maybe.
floor price just went up on that one.
I know.
Okay, quickly. Podcasting in 2022.
Underrated.
Steve Aoki.
Underrated. I love that. He's in our like sports card threads and everything. He's such a great human, and he's an entrepreneur as well. He's not just a DJ.
Yeah, I got one of his passports, Aoki Bears passports,
Oh, you
and
did?
I actually got the digital pass for NFT LA. So I think I'm gonna join that after this. Jump
Nice.
in there.
Awesome.
Okay, Fecon.
I mean, it's out of control. I was on a call yesterday. The production company that we have helping us like set up the stage is so talented. They know exactly what they're doing. There's some really fun surprises Gary's like planning, and just like social media marketing world, John Luke, and now we're connecting like years later. It's gonna be the same thing for some young kids or adults there. They're just gonna have a good time.
Awesome.
Okay. Last one for me. Blue check marks.
Overrated. Overrated. Sure, it's a verification process, and I worked hard to get one. Overrated though, in how a lot of people think about them because they think they need it to prove it to themselves that they're somebody. I like the business aspect of it where I can like DM and it's a little bit more recognizable in a DM. So I like it for that reason, and it's nice to be validated. But
Okay.
again, you don't need it to fucking win the world.
Okay, last one. YouTube monetization.
Underrated. I feel like too many people are not putting out enough content.
Okay, nice.
Awesome. And I
Diego,
think
I think
yeah.
we're right in time.
Episode 1 of Underrated, Overrated with David.
You survived, DRock. It was awesome. Okay, quickly, Diego, where can people watch this or listen to this episode?
Yeah, first of all, DRock, thanks. Appreciate it. You coming on here, having this chat with us. And for the people tuning in and you might have missed it, the recorded version of the podcast will be released on the website, confoes.com, and all podcasting distribution platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And all I got to say, follow what DRock's doing. Check out Pecan if you have the opportunity. And Jean-Luc.
Diego,
Yeah,
thank you
and
so much.
and people are putting things in the comments like show this to him, show this to him. I think DRock just explained to you guys how you can reach out to him and when it works and when it doesn't work. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode. We look forward to getting you to the tropical country of Suriname one day because it's very close to Miami. So we're gonna put some effort in that as
Nice
well.
warm weather.
And nice warm weather. But this was creative. This was social confoes. See you back next week. Same place. Same time.
Diego, it was great meeting you. John Luke, great seeing you again.
Oh,
Thank you guys
likewise.
for having me. And you guys forgot something. You gotta subscribe. Guys, subscribe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
subscribe to Diego's
Like,
YouTube channel.
comment, subscribe.
Like, comment. We're definitely not doing enough of that. So thank you for
Come on.
putting that in as well.
You're welcome.
We're heading backstage. Thank you for all you watching or listening or tuning in. Peace out. Bye bye.